All right. Good evening. Let's call our meeting to order. Can I get a roll call, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Earps.
Here.
Trustee Giroux.
Here.
Trustee St. Germain.
Here.
Trustee Daniels.
Here.
Trustee Craig.
Here.
All right, let's stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. I get a motion for approval of the agenda.
I'll move that we approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Do we have any public comment tonight?
We have none.
Okay, approval of the minutes from our October 17th meeting.
Madam Chair, there was a correction to that since you guys viewed it on the time you went into executive. So that has been edited. Just want to bring it to your attention. before
Oh,
it's
on the
voted on.
October 17th meeting?
Yes.
Yeah, I believe it had the wrong date to go in. So we went back and reviewed the video on it, the YouTube video, and got that corrected.
Okay.
So
All right.
clerical error. I mean, I'm sorry, Carmel. We caught it. You caught it. Good job.
All right, can I get a motion?
Make a motion that we accept the October 17 minutes.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. Can I get a motion?
I move that we accept the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Trustee Germain, St. Germain?
Oh, yes, aye. Sorry.
Okay. All right, motion carries. Okay, reports and recognition. Did everybody have a chance to review the reports?
Did.
Yes.
I'd like to take just a minute to give the recognitions. From Cavendish Elementary School, they received a 500 grant to purchase a screen projector, laptop computer with a DVD port for primary classroom. So good job on that. From Orofino Junior Senior High School, recognition to Ms. Patty Grimm, who's been around forever. Not to age her at all, but Patty's been a backbone around here forever, and Mr. Lee had some really good things about her knowledge of the students in the community, and she's been an integral part of a lot of students' life for a lot of years. So congratulations, Patty, on your retirement. Also, Jay Sanderson and Connor Potras from Orofino High School were selected to the All League Soccer for 2022. And in addition, Jim Hill, their coach, was Coach of the Year for the Soccer League.
Oh,
So,
cool.
yeah, 28 co-ed participants in soccer this year, so that's great. Also recognition to the cheerleading program. Oh, that's me. Okay. It's feedback. I was like, whoop. Oh, okay. The cheerleading program is off and running, multiple volunteers. They're raising funds and they're doing a really great job. And also recognition to Alan Rowan, our librarian. He steps up and covers where he's needed, provides a good atmosphere for students, a location for them to learn and learn new activities like chess and such. He's also active in other things through the 4-H, robotics, Lego League, and archery. He does that all while maintaining a library. So good job, Mr. Rowan. At Timberline, Katrina Morris was awarded a grant from the Idaho Lottery to purchase intervention curriculum and resources for students, which is always greatly appreciated and needed. So good job, Ms. Morris. And Ms. Montambo has taken on the Epics Club this year. And I've seen from the Facebook feed from Timberline that she's done a lot of really, really cool stuff with that. And I'm sure she adds a lot of positivity and energy to the program. So way to go, Teresa. Also at IDYCA, we have a recognition going out to Kelsey Ubill, taking over the senior project and revamped it to be an incredible learning experience for students. She does it one day a week and has students complete research and annotated bibliographies as well as panel presentation. And she's done an amazing job. And also to Amy Jared, one of our former board members, who supports the GED students at IDYCA by driving them to Lewiston for testing and organizing all their schedules and vouchers. So good job. All right.
Nice job.
Why, thank you.
That was a
I
nice
think we missed Orofino
overview. Yeah, I
Elementary School.
appreciate that.
Huh?
We only missed one.
Which one? Oh, the elementary?
Orofino Elementary School and Cavendish. Hold on.
No, I did Cavendish.
No, just
Yeah.
over, just Ms. Inboard and Joe Blanchard
Right.
for both taking on a bunch more work.
I did miss that. Thank you for
You
putting
bet.
that up to me.
Didn't want to get everybody to miss those two.
Yeah,
We do read these reports, by the way.
I do.
Yes, they're
And I
great.
They're
did.
what I
And
look
print-
forward to reading.
Yeah, I
So
actually
thank you for doing it.
printed
appreciate
them
it.
out, but I missed that. So sorry about that.
All the
but-
reports. We do the bus report too. I
Yeah.
like that. You guys work hard at these.
All right. So any other discussion? A little bit of recognition here. Well, not a little, but a lot. Derek reported that one of our bus drivers received a kudo from the public on Denise. She's bus driver, bus number 14. They were really impressed with how she handled the bus in the weather, and she does the Rudo route, which that's
Can
pretty
be pretty
impressive.
slick.
I would not want to drive a school bus on
Yeah,
Rudo,
no.
just saying. So good job. All right, did I miss anybody else? I think I got everybody now. Jeez. Okay, all right. Any other discussions on the reports?
Madam Chair, I do have a few questions. First of all, an apology. I was at a conference in Boise and could not participate in the safety meeting. But in several of the building reports and in Russell's technology report, there's reference to safety system improvements. I see some of them listed in the safety plan, but it seems as though we also had someone come in and do a review. And I wondered if the chief group and or we are going to have access to those reports.
Yes, you will have access to those. I just need to share them with you. So Mark Feddersen, is that right? The guy that came in and did the report. I'm impressed. I remember that. What agency he's with, I'm not really sure. Just state, yeah, he's with. So this is something that they've had, I think a couple years they've implemented now, 2 to 3 years, and does a very thorough, extensive safety walkthrough. And it's really entails more about student safety and personnel safety more than it does, tripping hazards, those type of things. So we're looking at safety of the students, whether it be a emergency situation or whatever it is. So that's a very thorough report, and I absolutely can share those with you, and I have full intentions. So yeah, and
I'm certain of it. It
Yeah.
was referenced that
Yep.
that staff were going to be reviewing it. So,
So-
and I was
go
kind of
ahead.
curious as we look at safety improvements in the budget, I didn't see anything in security and safety as a line item. And so do we use these reports for our planning for the upcoming year?
we do, and actually most of those are technology updates. So we'll be utilizing them through the technology budget. General fund will cover most of those as well. So we met as a safety committee, and the other day, and we had a lot of discussion. We talked about all those different building reports. and they all had a very common theme, which we've shared with you guys and the public as well. Those safety themes, are access control. One thing we recognize is we don't have a really good communication system between all buildings. If most of our systems went down, so we're looking at, repeaters and radios so we can have that access in case we have technology go down. And then also we talked a lot about having a common communication spot and a team. So if we have something happen at one building, who takes over, how's that look, all those things. So we had pretty extensive conversations about that, and there's some really good things in the works on that. So those reports are utilized, and they're very thorough, and they're very, very informative as well.
Okay, I didn't see that in that referenced in the safety report, so thank you for that.
Mhm.
And then at Orofino Elementary, Denise, you mentioned PBIS, but I don't know what that is. But then I read it in Brian's report. It has to do with the behavioral system. And so I'm kind of curious, does that tie into the SPED stuff as well?
Yeah, so PBIS is positive behavior intervention support. That is not tied to specific special education or anything like that. This is a grant that we acquired last year to launch this new positive support system. We also tie that in with the system that the state purchased for us called Swiss, which that's something happy to go over with you.
I'm sorry, his mic must not be on. Are you on?
Are you got me now, Chris?
Yay,
Or,
thank
sorry,
you.
Miss
Thank
St.
you.
Germain.
It's all right, Chris is fine.
Okay. Yeah, so you must not have heard any of that, but basically it was a grant that we acquired last year. We did training on it. We have in our building, and I think I can speak for Denise, we each have PBIS teams. And so that's positive behavior intervention supports. And so it has nothing to do with special education or anything like that. It's for all students. And basically it, I don't know how much time you got on your hands because it's a big system, but basically it's a system to recognize positive behaviors and hopefully increase the culture of those positive behaviors. But also we have what's called the Swiss system, which is a system for documenting behaviors, which we utilize a lot to graph when behaviors are taking place, what types of behaviors are taking place. And it also is very informative to parents if their student is potentially having a high level of behaviors, because they can look at where those are, what they are. And it also helps us for our building. We have a meeting either once every 2 weeks or once every week to discuss those with the PBIS team and come up with different interventions that are targeted based on the data acquired from the Swiss data. The positive side of it is we do, like here, we do pride cards. So if you see a kid doing something that is kind of above and beyond, shows integrity, or it's an acronym, so any of one of the categories on the pride, then we give them a card, they enter into a drawing. We do weekly drawings for prizes. But that's just kind of the surface level of it. If you ever want to look at what that Swiss data looks like in an executive session, I'd be happy to go over it with you. But due to the nature of the data, we wouldn't be able to do it in an open session.
And that might be something for a work session as well.
Yeah, because it will be, and I've spoken to Dr. Garrett about it, something that we might need supports from the board on based on this data. I hate to ever ask for supports without having pretty specific data relative to what we need those supports on. But when it comes to helping students with behavioral needs, sometimes that does cost and does require personnel.
And is that system used throughout at all schools or just Orofino Elementary and the junior senior high school?
I think it's just ours right now, but it is a state ran grant. And so they have support mechanisms for it. And so it's not, once you're in, you can't get in. And so if we felt like it was advantageous, then we could do it at the other schools too. And
I mean, you're finding that this system and the tracking of data through Swiss is valuable?
Yes, it is. I think it's also been very valuable when we're having conferences with parents, because before in our building, we use Skyward to track behaviors. This one gives you a lot better view and graphs and really breaks it down by individual student. I know Dr. Garrett's been in on some of the meetings with myself, going over that data with the parents, and it's very informative. And it really takes a lot of the, okay, this is just the principal telling me this out of it. It just is, this is what it is. This is the data. This is what's coming out of classrooms. These are the comments, and helps us. It also helps the student too, because it gives them a bigger picture of what's actually going on if they choose to want to improve their behavior.
And can we really look at this in association with some of the MAP stuff too, and their academic success, or where they
Yeah.
may be dropping off?
Yeah, so we also have academic response to intervention. PBIS for us is part of what we call behavioral response to intervention. You've probably seen that acronym come up on the board reports a few times, BRTI and ARTI. And so we cross it with, okay, so if a kid's getting A's and B's, but demonstrating a high level of behaviors, that's one conversation. Whereas if a kid's failing or struggling academically on their MAPS data, so now we have multiple data points we can look at to try to make a determination. The difficulty comes in what intervention and how to implement those interventions. So we're at kind of a base level, trying to get creative on different interventions and see what works and what doesn't based on the staff that we have and based on where we can actually put kids to help them.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that.
I had one more question, just on the safety stuff. It says purchase and install cameras and access controls. I thought we'd already purchased a bunch of that.
We have.
Okay.
Did you read Russell's report on that? There's
I
several
did.
things that we're just now getting in, and things
Okay.
are back ordered.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I recall
Yeah.
last time they were on
Yes.
back order. So a lot
Yeah.
of it has been purchased. We're just waiting for it to get it. Okay,
Yep.
perfect. Just making sure I didn't miss that.
And some
then I
is
just have-
installed, actually. We're at the Timberline building. We have, I believe, the new building that's in your report
Has
and on the
access.
outside. And then we're installing the rest of it on December 2nd, I believe. Up there. So,
So what's left still to purchase, I guess, is my question.
so we're looking at this building, and then there's communication. We were looking at, like, this building doesn't have an intercom system that works very well. So that's one.
Okay.
I know we're looking into radios and repeaters for
Yep.
other buildings as well.
Makes
So
sense.
those things. So we haven't got, those are kind of the bigger items.
Yep.
Of course, the outside access, and there's some cameras. I think if we got all the cameras ordered, we still have some we need to get done. Yeah. So there's some items there that need to be,
Ongoing.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Does that
And
answer?
then, Madam Chair, I just have one more. Carmen, there's nothing in your update about the food storage issue.
Well, the issue's still there. We applied for a grant to help with the funding, and the state received 37 applications and an $800,000 worth of requests, and they only had 300 and some thousand. So we did not receive a grant. So now we are going to Plan B. So,
I can help with that a
Yeah.
little bit. Chris, so our architect Jerry, we're going ahead and moving forward with the design and the structural piece of the dry storage to see if we can, put a hole in the wall basically to be able to do a freezer at some point and go ahead and get that cleared off. And then we're also looking at the drainage at the bus garage as well. So that's all going to be kind of the first part of the plan. Our hiccup is the size we were looking for is what we've kind of figured out is a special order size. So we're of a freezer. So we're trying to figure out what is the best and most effective size, an efficient size that we can get without having all those extra dollars involved. So still working on that. It's just very difficult to find those type of specialty people right now.
And I did reach out to the Water Resources Board about their flood mitigation grant. So.
Oh, good.
he
Send them our
said
way.
As soon as that gets released for this year, we'll get on that. So
Okay.
unfortunately, we didn't have much luck with the Soil Conservation District, but we can do that on our own.
Right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? I really want one of those white donut peaches. Just saying, that sounds really good. I don't know what it is, but it sounds really good. Okay. All right. Anything else? No? Okay. All right. How are they on maintenance? I noticed there wasn't a maintenance report. Is that?
Yeah. So Roy and his crew have been very busy. Yeah. In fact, I think there's been some illness in that direction here lately. So, but yeah, they are maintaining and trying to get things up. We're fighting some heating systems here and there. some of those things that are pretty urgent, and not like what we want to be as reactive, but we're trying to take care of those. So they're moving along.
I
Yes.
just
Yeah.
happened to see that we didn't.
Their list is continually growing and they're continually chiseling away.
Is the systems working well?
Seems to be. Yeah. Yeah. I think filtering through and trying to prioritize, because anytime somebody puts something in there, it's a priority to them, obviously, but sometimes they have to understand it isn't a priority compared to the rest of the list. So he's doing a great job of getting that organized and keeping the people going and getting things accomplished. So
Good.
Yep.
Wonderful. Okay. Anybody else? Anything else? Okay. All right, let's move on to our discussion items. First one up is the 2023 regular meeting calendar. Did everybody have a chance to look at that? Does anybody have any
it really,
problems with that?
it really mimics what we have currently this year. The only thing was the January, February, this year we went earlier
Oh, instead of later.
this calendar year, and this upcoming 2023, we're looking at doing it later just because it rolls back and we don't come back to school until I think the 9th, I believe, of January this year. And that would put it that very next week. So
Yeah, no, it looks good.
No issues.
Could we
And
add
we-
the discussion topics that are important for us to keep track of?
For the work sessions.
Oh,
No, for board meetings, there's a calendar that we went through
Mhm.
a couple years ago, and I can't find it. I've
I'll share it with you again.
yeah.
No worries. Yep. So the other piece was, I think we decided we were going to do work sessions at 4:30. That
Mhm.
piece changed as well because it was 5:30 before on the previous calendar. And then what was the other thing? I think that was it. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So the January, we do these calendar years because of the way the election is. They used to be going in our fiscal year, but now it's the calendar year. Because of the way the election has changed to the November versus the March from years prior. So we'll be doing the calendar year and then we'll reorganize in January. So it's kind of hard to remember that one in December sometimes. So I wanted to get that one through if we could.
So are we going to set work sessions based on these meetings or not necessarily?
Sure, we can. Yeah. And that's what you guys talked about having work
Yeah.
sessions before each one of the
Yeah.
meetings. So I think it's probably going to be good to have the topics and like Chris was saying, have those kind of tied together.
Yep.
So
So start back up in January with a work session then.
it's whatever you guys want to do.
Yeah.
No, that makes
Ready
sense.
to go.
Yeah. And if something else comes up that we feel is a special need for a work session, we can always,
Yeah.
it's not carved in stone.
No, just trying to get my own schedule together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I hear you. I hear you. Live and
I was
breathe by
kind of
that calendar.
wondering what if we looked at a work session every other month so that it wasn't every month?
We could do that. I mean, I think we're pretty flexible. And I think when we get to the part about setting stuff for our next agenda for our next meeting, that's a good time to decide, do we want a work session and what do we want it to be on? Maybe based on issues and topics and things like that we've questioned as they've come up during the course of the month.
Perfect. So December, we can talk about January then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Does that work?
And I think it would be great to actually take a bigger picture strategic approach about the different things and issues and opportunities that we have so that we can kind of identify not on a monthly basis, but sort of have a longer range plan.
Sure. Yeah.
And have flexibility.
And have
That's important.
flexibility. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Just let me know and I will get them put on there.
Okey-doke. All right. Next discussion item is the policy reviews, specifically the 7440 credit card policy as well as the 7430 travel policy.
I wondered on the credit card policy, if we put an or what statement around, we say the card needs to be returned within 5 days, but or what?
Lose privileges.
I kind of thought the same thing.
Oh, it's a good point. This just sounded like a kid or what? What are you gonna do? Or what?
I mean, I don't know.
What would you like for it to say in there?
Is there a criminal thing around that or?
Well, the district can always cancel the card
Yeah, that's in
too.
there.
If somebody doesn't return it, they can cancel the card.
Right.
So,
I mean, do they not get their last paycheck until all of our property has been returned?
No, you
Can't
can't,
do
can't
that.
withhold wages.
No. I just think if they don't return it, it would definitely
She
behoove
wasn't my mom.
the district to cancel the card. They try to use
Yeah.
it and they'll say, we need to cut your card.
So,
those things.
so this might help a little bit. All the credit cards we have are actually issued to a person, basically. We do have one in, I guess, in the office, like Brittany has one, I believe, that kind of floats. Occasionally we share it with, maybe Heidi uses or what, and I think Heidi has one as well. So as far as I know, they're all assigned to a person.
Oh,
So that particular card, we would know, they're responsible for it.
So the
Yeah.
credit limit you're talking about increasing to, that would be just aggregate for all.
So originally,
Right.
the policy said that it was 25,000, I believe,
Yeah.
aggregate. What we've ran into is we've had a huge increase in what we purchase through credit cards, whether it's
I see.
technology, whether
Sure.
it's Amazon, whatever it is. So that 25,000 doesn't hardly cover it at
Yeah,
this
that makes
point.
sense.
So and really what we changed in this was to say 25,000 limit each credit card.
Oh.
So like technology, for example, you have access to 2 different accounts, right? Okay, so, and we upped it. Yeah. Right, because what was happening is he was having to have access to 2 because we have to share around. Our account actually has a limit on it and we have to figure out where we divide that up the most.
Mhm.
Like mine, I don't need much, but for ball games, or you might need supplies wherever the high school needs more than I do, or
Mhm.
technology. So we try to rearrange that to where that bulk of that goes to where it needs to be.
Mhm.
But sometimes that's not enough.
Mhm.
So that's why we're looking at trying to access, so that we'll have 2 individual cards, basically. One he'll have a majority of a lot of it because he buys most of the stuff online.
Right.
With credit card. So that's kind of, I hope that made
Yeah.
sense. Yeah. We're just trying to clean it up because it was cumbersome and we were actually needing more limit than what we had. And we were not able to go much farther because of policy. So what would you like to say in that if they don't return?
I guess the don't return is less concerning than the misuse.
Mhm.
That's pretty clear what we'll do in that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's because I think the don't return basically, I mean,
Right.
still notify law enforcement if you want
yeah,
to.
yeah,
but
but ultimately cancel the account, cancel the card.
Yeah. And you can cancel that. I mean, you can deactivate that one card in the account. It's all one account.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah.
So,
the
yeah.
card.
Yeah. So,
Cancel the card.
I don't anticipate that, but don't anticipate a lot of things.
That's for sure.
Yep.
So maybe a statement that, upon notification of resignation or termination, the card will be canceled, just to document it for process.
Well, it can just be part of our,
could do that. I mean, how quick can you cancel them?
I think it's just a phone call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't find
Yeah,
it,
just
get
like you would your
online and
own.
I just cancel them
Yeah.
upon separation.
I don't know that we have to put it in there even. It'd be part of the
part of the
process
Right.
of letting someone go.
Separation, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's kind of like the keys.
yeah,
I mean, a key fob or anything else,
yeah. Unless we have some kind of abuse, I don't think you need.
Well, and then you always have legal avenues if that,
Right.
Mhm.
if they're abusing it or misusing
And,
it.
and we're not gonna have that kind of thing.
No, and the credit cards are just to help us do our jobs,
Yeah.
really more than anything. So, and when I say we, that's mostly everybody else. So it's a tool that has become bigger and bigger. I mean, I could probably even speak for myself, my own personal credit card. I use
Sure.
more than I used to 10 years ago, and these policies are a little bit outdated on that. So just trying to get it up to speed. Brittany texted me a couple of things.
Oh.
She says she can shift cards online and each person signs a separate agreement to hold a card. And it's an additional policy. So.
Perfect if they're signing.
mhm.
If they're signing
Sounds-
for it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Good.
Life's good.
Okay.
Thanks, Brittany. Wherever you are.
Thank you, Brittany.
Yes.
She's in
She's
there.
somewhere. in the
Thumbs up, she
computer. All right. Anything else on that? Okay, let's move on to
So
the travel.
do we need to add anything to that or?
I'm satisfied
Okay.
with the way it
Yeah,
reads.
I think
Just want to make sure. Sorry
Same
about
here.
that.
Yeah, oh, no, it's fine.
Yep.
All right, travel policy.
Yeah, so we went through this process with the policy committee and went through a whole bunch of different things with it. You guys approved a policy. The next week we were inundated with discrepancies in this. It's took days and days to try to weed through what was going on and how it was working. There was lots of loopholes in it that, and I think what happened is some of the input didn't happen because, it's just another policy, but I'm not sure we had as extensive as input. And once you put something in practice, it ends up looking a little bit differently. So to kind of quail that, you guys saw, I basically put a policy in place that kind of streamline this. So what I really want to have is a good discussion about what is it that we pay? How much do we pay? When do we pay? And what's happened is this has become a bigger issue, obviously, because gas prices have increased.
Mhm.
And we want to pay our employees to travel within or doing PD and all that stuff, but we want to make sure that it's fair. It's a really difficult area to really have a conversation about because it's so unique in so many different places. It's not as easy as we all go to one spot and then we go from there to another spot.
Mhm.
So, some departments such as our maintenance, they have vehicles that they travel in. Like Carmen's department does not, but she travels around and does mileage occasionally. IT does not. He travels within different buildings. His staff does as well. Our school psych, our speech nurse has a vehicle. And occupational therapists, those all travel as well. And then of course, we have administrators that travel as well. So, I want to have a discussion on what this should really look like to be fair to people and to be just, because I don't want to keep mileage from people, but I don't want people abusing it. So we have a good handle on it. So we can discuss whatever you want, questions you have and what we want to do with it.
Well, I think
Sounds like our committee. No,
Yeah.
just kidding.
I think it would be pretty easy to go down a huge rabbit hole on this when you start looking at workstations and
Duty station.
duty
Yeah.
stations.
Isn't that just
That's
where
the
they
one that's-
work normally?
That's one that's
They-
got me,
From where they
yeah.
leave?
What's assigned. And we do have that with one individual who works from home most of the time,
Oh, okay.
but
Which
that's
I wouldn't call home a duty station though.
right. The difficulty comes is, yes, that work is there, but that's been kind of a.
They
agreement
address
of
that right
privilege,
here.
but-
It's on school
Yeah.
property, right?
And I wrote that because I feel like that's important. We have that. Because it opens up a big can of worms going to and from, and then there's a lot of tracking. So here's another thought is we've talked about at some point in time, do we give people who travel a lot, do we just do a stipend and say, so we don't have to track the miles, you just drive. And that's a hard one too, because somebody's going to take advantage, somebody's not, it's difficult, but tracking it is a difficult thing to do. So when we go to like PD, those type of things, when you travel to Boise or Coeur d'Alene or whatever, you're doing training, that's pretty simple. If you're traveling for PD, you're out of the district. It's the in district that is kind of the question mark. And then what's the rate when we do out of district?
Did I read that you pay half the rate?
That's what we've done in the past. That kind of derived from if there was a vehicle available
Mhm.
and you chose to take your own, we would pay you half the rate. So that's kind of where that came from.
I got you.
Now, vehicles.
That's not always the case.
No. Vehicle availability it's difficult because most of our vehicles that we have that are basically assigned to departments or whatever are being utilized.
Mhm.
Driver's ed cars are available, but they get driven by lots of different kids, lots of different times. So now you're talking about a vehicle that's been used a lot differently than some vehicles. And the bottom line is most people, when they drive in this type of weather, would rather drive their own vehicle.
Yeah,
It's,
they're more familiar.
and honestly, I don't blame them. You
Sure.
know your lights, your controls. It's just you feel more comfortable in your own vehicle. So I don't mind paying that if that's what we need to do. We just need to have a policy that reflects what we're doing.
What is the mileage rate now? It's kind
Oh.
of 62.5, I think.
Yeah,
isn't
something
it?
like that.
So we'd pay half that in district and
Well,
if we
Yeah.
decided to do
Mhm.
it that way.
yeah,
I mean, mileage is mileage.
it is. It is. There's wear and tear, there's gas, there's lots of different things on that. So it's a discussion that we all, like I said, I wanted to have with you guys because there's been lots of different input and I don't know is any of it's right or wrong. We just need to come up with something that works.
So
What
are you
if-
suggesting
yeah.
that we do not have district vehicles that could be used for in-district travel?
No, I'm suggesting maybe we have more.
Which might ultimately be a good answer.
Could be,
Could be a very,
answer.
very good answer to the.
you know, in the past, we've done this, and I know it's been discussed too, that we, kind of went down this route. You end up with older vehicles. So we kind of have to get on a schedule of keeping decent vehicles around to do that, because next thing you know, it's 10 years down the road and there wasn't money to do that. Now you're got a vehicle that's not worthy of travel. So there's always that. But
If they're using their own car, do we have some other liability involved with that? Or we're expecting them to do that?
not if you're paying
Mileage.
mileage. yeah.
Well,
And
So
or
there's the
showing
talk
up to work.
about, the school bus versus the.
Yeah,
Worst,
yeah, it's a good point.
But I think it kind of comes back to, people choose where they live.
Mhm.
People choose if they want to live 20 miles out, or they want to live in town, or they want to live in Peck or Weippe or wherever.
That's why the duty station.
Yeah, I don't think it's an
matters.
issue if you have
Yeah.
established duty stations,
Yeah.
but I don't think we have established duty stations is what I'm reading. Some people have it at home, some people have it where they live, not
Yeah.
where their duty actually is. If
Right.
they're a joint school district 171, their duty station should be at the office here versus someone that's working at Timberline.
Right.
So I
How
think
many
that's a
people
bigger
are working
discussion.
from their home at this point?
Well,
Some of you are,
full-time, probably one.
okay.
But
So it's not
everybody
really
does
a
a little
huge
bit if we need
issue.
to, that's a flexibility I'm willing to give our
Yeah.
people, because, life happens, but it's not consistent. And the efficiency of, I can tell you, if I stay home for a couple hours, I can get a day's work done.
Uh-huh.
I come to the office today, I had 25 people come
You
through
didn't
my door. I
interrupt.
didn't count, but
Mhm.
there was probably that many. So,
No,
there's advantage to that once in a while.
No, and I don't think we're questioning that,
No.
but your duty station would be here,
Mhm.
correct?
Yeah, my
So we
office.
wouldn't
Yeah,
pay you to drive into Orofino. That's
No.
where I'm going at.
right,
So if we establish duty stations, then
Right.
it should be basic mileage.
right,
But if we don't establish duty stations and some people get it from their house and others don't,
right.
then that's where we're getting into gray area.
It is.
Then the-
Even the person working from home, we're giving them that
Yes.
option, which
To
is
work
great,
home,
which
which
is
is- yeah.
great, but their duty station should still be where they
Right.
were hired
Right.
to report to.
So the difficulty comes, it gets cloudy, because if you've got to come and get parts, you got to travel to that spot to get parts and then go wherever.
But the
To-
travel
to
should be
live
from
it
your duty
from-
station to the parts,
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
right? So if you have established, am I
Not
missing
from
something?
home.
Not
No.
from home to go get parts, it's
Right.
from the duty station.
Right.
And then the
So, makes
downside
sense.
is
If
you
I
gotta
don't know
keep
if I'm-
records, right? That's what, is
So-
that part of the
Well-
Yeah.
problem?
Right. It's the same distance.
62.5 cents a mile. It's worth keeping records.
So if you needed to come, basically you come to, for me, for example, if I have to come to Orofino and I have to get something from my office, but my meeting is at Timberline, you could theoretically pay from Orofino to Timberline. And I only live
Yeah.
a few miles from Timberline, right? Which doesn't include me because I don't turn in mileage, but I'm just saying that's hypothetical. Does that make sense?
Should you be turning in mileage?
Yeah, because
Uh,
it doesn't matter where you live, right? I mean, that's what
Right.
Christine.
Yeah, it shouldn't,
Right.
because you choose to live where you live.
Right.
That's a personal,
But he didn't
choice.
choose to have Timberline where
No.
it is. Yeah.
but that's different though. If he has to go to,
How many
Inherited
people do we
that.
actually
Come
have
on.
He
doing that, though?
inherited it. yeah.
Gosh, come on, man.
yeah, I mean, it's,
It is, and it gets sticky because everybody has a different perspective of how it should work. Honestly, I
And it's
mean, we
becoming-
had 20 people saying that should
Yeah.
be X and Y and Z, and it's like, wait, we got to get on the same page because everybody has a different
So it's been a
expectation.
bit controversial.
It
maybe.
has,
So we need to nail this down.
yeah. And what happens is people go in professional development or whatever to a
Right.
meeting somewhere else. That's a fairly easy one, but then the question would always come up: Do we have a vehicle available? Well, if we didn't have a vehicle, then we pay half. If we do, we pay. They should take it. I mean, if it is available, they take half. If it's not available, they can take their own and get paid full. Well, tracking that is difficult because the vehicles are in different locations. We're not all in one spot. So it's like, who tracks that? We call Derek and say, hey, is there a car available at Timberline? I don't know.
So we just track all our company vehicles on our company calendar and you check them in and out. I mean, it's just a
Yeah.
normal company calendar. So it's pretty simple. And then if there's not a company vehicle, then you obviously have to take your personal
Right.
vehicle. But once again, the duty station is the office.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
So I guess I'd ask if you had employees that felt more comfortable taking their own vehicle, what do you guys do
That we don't pay their mileage if there's a company vehicle
if there's
available.
one available?
Because they're
Voluntarily taking-
voluntarily
Gotcha.
at that stage. So,
Ah.
but all our company vehicles have good tires, have weight in the
Right,
back,
sure.
and we do our best to protect our
Right.
staff. So,
Right.
so
Yeah.
I think we could,
That's a good point.
I think we could streamline it, but that's just the
No,
common sense,
that's-
simple approach, but
That's what we need, because
doesn't
this,
always work.
the original policy was very convoluted as well, and it's been tampered with over the years. So I mean, it ends up a big, big mess, and we just want something simple that's doable. And I don't mind paying mileage. I really don't.
Agree.
We just need to make sure it's consistent with everybody.
The right reason.
Yeah, and consistent with everyone. That's all. So,
Yeah, and that's the only fair way to do it is from duty station. And consider that. That's the only fair way to do it.
And with our limited vehicle
pool,
options, then I think it should be at the state
the
standard.
full level.
Mhm.
I don't disagree with that either.
We're, work for the state. We can't take our own vehicle
Mhm.
and get paid for it. I mean, if you take your own vehicle, you take your own vehicle, but
Right.
you're not getting paid.
Right.
But we have a lot of cars.
Right.
So
Right.
that's
we don't have
typically
that
not
pool.
an
Yeah,
issue for
well, in
us.
my
Yeah,
case,
yeah.
I have a vehicle that's issued to me
Mhm.
full time that I have 24/7. And so, and a gas card and everything else. So if I was expected to go to Lewiston or I go all over the place, but if I took my personal vehicle, that's on me.
Right. Well, and I think you're right, Brian. We do have a limited pool, and what we do have is generally in use, honestly. We don't have a lot of vehicles.
Or, I
sitting
mean,
around.
cars get older and I mean,
Yeah.
how what kind of schedule do we have for
None.
rotating?
Yeah.
And so, there's that.
And this
So-
is pretty much the first time in known history that we've actually had a pool of decent vehicles.
Well,
I
and,
think.
with these grants that we've
Derek's
ended
head's
up
spinning. He's
with.
like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And we've thinned out a lot of the old ones that were just junk, weren't worth anything. And we've been fortunate enough to have some grants they've allowed us to use for that, with some pretty high dollars in there to get some vehicles. So we've been very fortunate with that. Now, that doesn't cover everything, but it's
Right.
better than it used to be.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I think in summary now, let me kind of recap this just a bit here. So we're looking at established duty stations, and that's if you get travel, that's where you get it travel from, correct? Is that
Right.
everybody's
Right.
understanding? And then maybe down the road, looking at getting another vehicle or something. I think that's something come budget time that we should strongly look at, is getting some, at
So
least
what kind
one.
of vehicles are we talking about that we've got? I guess I'm not very familiar with what we
so
have.
we bought a couple of new ones here recently, which, one from maintenance. It's a 1/2-ton 4-wheel drive 4-door pickup Dodge. And then we ended up with a Dodge Jeep Compass. And that came off the nurse grant. So yeah, it's a small all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
I actually took it to Coeur d'Alene when we went to the conference.
Mhm.
I guess Brian rode in it, I think, didn't you?
Mhm.
Yeah. So and it gets used, a couple days a week for the nurses. We were fortunate enough that was particular for the nurse, but we can use it elsewhere as well. So that one's available to be used but it's
Good.
primarily there.
Yeah, I
So-
think come budget time, it would behoove us to look into
A few more.
getting more,
Well, and
at
the
least one.
if we can have something in the right locations,
Yep.
it would
Yeah.
save a lot of this angst on where the miles are and this and that, honestly, coming down from the hill, if somebody was coming to get something from warehouse down here, Busker, whatever, you end up, if you had a vehicle Timberline, you jump and go,
Yep.
get it. Now you're ready. Yeah.
Exactly.
And actually saving some miles on your own,
Yeah.
there's some strategic things we could do to help everyone, I think.
Sure. And we do the same thing at my building where we just use our Microsoft calendar.
Yep.
Input all of our cars. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty
Like I said, we
simplistic.
just don't have the numbers to really reserve that. And if we use, I know the driver's ed cars, there's a lot of people, you can probably speak to this. There's a lot of people that don't want to drive them, but they're fine. But there's just a lot of people prefer not to. Yeah. Yeah. Well, That keeps them honest. If it doesn't say that, it says JSD 171 on them. So that
Yeah,
helps.
there's that too.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think long-term, that's probably a good direction to go come budget time. We really
So
need-
this policy that I have in front of you guys,
Mhm.
would you like to make some changes to that? Right now, it says half the rate. And so this, if you want to work through this, I would
I
be,
think half the
Great.
rate is appropriate since we do have adequate vehicles. And I think that tracking the data and taking a real close look at it and building a plan after we have data, we can evaluate what if we had to pay out in mileage versus what the cost of a vehicle would be, and or any angst that we would have caused our staff by providing only half of a mileage rate.
Are we talking in district?
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
so what about out of district travel?
Out of district is at the state rate is how I read, correct?
So my question would be, why half at the in district and full out of district? What's the
Because
difference?
it's their choice and you said we have adequate vehicles.
They run between the buildings.
And if they're not available? Because that's what'll happen.
Yeah, well,
I'm
that's
just
where the water
going down
gets,
the line.
that's where the water gets muddy, right? So
Yeah,
when,
right, right.
so can you schedule what you are running for around availability of existing vehicles?
Yeah, maybe we
What
can
was
say
that?
in district, we'll pay the mileage if,
There are
as
no
long as there's not
vehicles.
another vehicle available.
But
From your
that's-
duty station.
Yeah.
And that's what you're saying, is the driver's ed cars are available most all the time. So if people aren't
Yeah, but
using
they're
them,
here in Timberline, so
right.
you know what I mean? If somebody needs one from here
I think
and
we
this
should
one's gone.
come back to this policy because I think we need to standardize it with state and or other,
Right.
instead of having our own.
And the reason it's up for discussion is because we have some mileage that's we need to do something with. You know, there's people working every day, traveling within and outside the district, and I want to make sure we get it right.
So
So,
we have some data around what that is currently, what the demand, what the need.
yeah, so the demand is generally inside the district, within district,
I'm
moving
kinda
around
with Chris,
within.
so it's hard to make a decision without seeing the numbers. If
Yeah.
we're spending 40,000 every few months
Yeah.
on mileage because people are
No.
bouncing around versus,
We're not.
Well, we can't
Hey,
have that many
Brittany?
people that are.
Can you chime in on this if you're there? Oh, great. Cool. It's a very, there she is.
Hi, Brittany.
Hey, Brittany, welcome.
Hi. So we're probably spending more in the hundreds monthly for the mileage that we reimburse to our regular employees. We have some people that are just traveling to Timberline from Orofino. So we don't have an excessive amount each month. So I could do based on like last year's data, I could run you a report showing what we paid last year that I could send to you guys, but
that'd be great. Could you break it out in district versus out of district?
yeah, we could do something like that.
Yeah, so are they traveling daily or weekly between facilities?
It just depends on the job. So some of those, I think they're more like a weekly. I think like Dr. Garrett has said, it's kind of like sped department, like OT and stuff like that. I think they go to like Timberline once a week
And they're using their own vehicle
yes.
and that they're doing that out of choice?
I believe so, because I do know we have, I think it's a van that is available a lot during the week. Derek could probably say if that's true or not. That's at his building, but I don't know if they ever attempt to use that or not. But we do have a few of those that go to Timberline that we pay on a regular basis.
It's an interesting conversation because it brings up a lot of issues, whether somebody wants to take their own, if the roads are marginally slick and you want to take Dodge Grand Caravan, or do you want to take your own up to 10? You know, there's that safety concern that's always there too. So
Nobody
just
wants to drive a
discussing.
Dodge Caravan.
what's that?
Nobody wants to drive a Dodge Caravan.
Right.
I think though, the ones that are doing it every week would be the easier ones to book a vehicle for.
Exactly.
You know, if they're
Yeah.
going Timberline every Thursday,
You got it
they should
scheduled.
reserve the company vehicle, and then someone that's only once a week or once every month going across
Yeah.
town, that'd be better at paying them mileage
That
than
makes sense.
the scheduled ones. But
Derek, are you maintaining those vehicles? Do you guys perform the maintenance on those?
do we run good tires in the winter? We
Oh, yeah.
change
Studded tires.
instead of snow
Yeah.
tires. So I mean, we're giving them all the options. I'd
Yeah.
say if those are the ones that I would think we'd want to get on a schedule, the
Yeah.
ones that are doing it every week versus the
Right.
ones that are just doing it. Okay, I need to go get parts. That
Yeah.
comes up.
I think
And
one
I-
of the things is how much time do you want people to put into chasing down a vehicle? They put more time into trying to find one that's available and call the school and call the bus garage and call around just to see if one's available somewhere.
But how, that's what I'm saying. Google
Calendar
Sheets
and
or
part of
Google Calendar, Google Sheets.
And we
is-
do have that for the van.
And
Yeah.
you could add all the vehicles. I mean, we have 3 vehicles. We're not talking about a bunch. We have 200 employees and we have 3 vehicles. And there are days all 3 of them are gone. Don't get me wrong, but most days they're not all gone.
Mhm.
One even has a plow on it. So we're down to 2 right now.
Mhm.
But the people that are traveling know, check the calendar and schedule things out. And, you know, because if you're going every week, you know, you're going every week. That's what I'm talking about is the ones that are,
So Timberline, like we talked about Timberline, so there's 2 vehicles up there. There's a maintenance pickup that's not dependable enough to run to Lewiston. And there's the driver's ed car, which we are currently using for special needs transport every day.
yeah. So that's where we'd want to look at getting updating the vehicle.
Mhm.
You know,
Right.
that's a bigger picture.
And in the summer, the summer it was driver's ed. Now it's sped.
Yep.
Booked every day. There's nothing up there for them.
Right.
You know, really.
And it seems like that's where a big need for a good dependable vehicle to get people from point A to point B would be at Timberline.
And we have the one van. What happens is we end up with Knowledgeable wants it here. Knowledgeable at Timberline wants it. I have to take 2 hours to drive it to Timberline, drop it back off, bring another car back down so they can have it for Knowledgeable. Then turn around, drive back up, get it, bring another vehicle back down, swap it back out because we need it back down here again.
It's a pretty, there's a lot
It's-
more, there's a
it's
lot
a
more
lot to
to it. Yeah, there's a lot more to it. We're just trying to simplify, I think, the mileage to where it's fair and equitable for anybody. And I don't know what that answer, that's why we want to have this discussion, because we're trying to figure out some ideas, because we've been through it in leadership, we've been through it in our office, we've been through it in a lot of different places, and it's just, it's been messy for years.
Sounds like you don't, until we get some more vehicles, you need flexibility right
Mhm.
now
So I
to
think
make
one,
that
Yeah.
choice.
yeah, and I think one thing is going back to the duty station thing. I think that every position has a expected
Mhm.
assigned duty station, correct?
Mhm.
Should.
Should. If it doesn't, I mean, I think first to establish that
Mhm.
is important. And I think that eliminates a lot of other stuff. If we do that, is make sure that any mileage that we're paying is from the assigned duty station to wherever. Whether they have to go from
So, yeah,
office to Timberline or whatever.
right.
Shouldn't be too hard.
So like our OTs and our PTs and our school psych, they all start from here in Orofino somewhere if they have to go to Timberline, you know, so I would say all of them would rather take their own vehicle than anything we have. So do we still do that choice? If you do choice, it's half if there's one available, but again, you got to verify there's one available. And that's where it gets, I don't disagree with Derek. We spend a lot of time on things that take a lot of money for a lot of pretty high paid people that are probably unnecessary, where we could probably save that, you know. Is it the best use of Derek's time to be transporting vehicles back and forth?
No,
Probably not.
I would say it's not.
We
No,
need to work on that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where we're trying to
But
take
until we
ideas.
Get there, maybe we ought to just pay the mileage.
The other side is how much money do we want to buy vehicles and maintain them and buy tires for them
That's
and
the
buy
other
fuel
thing.
for them instead of just pay the mileage and forget it.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Because we're
Yeah,
gonna
there's
end
two
up with-
sides of
That's
it.
expensive
And the
too.
other side of that is every vehicle we work on that's a light vehicle, we have to deduct from the state how much they reimburse us in transportation.
I see.
So we have to keep track of every hour and every dollar we put on a light vehicle and deduct it out of what we get paid. So I think there's that side to it too. If we're talking
Absolutely.
hundreds, we're gonna go out and buy $40,000 cars and pay fuel and
Right.
maintenance and tires and everything else for them. We go through brakes because people don't take care of them.
Yeah.
One right after. We
Yeah.
put brakes once a year or twice a year on some of these vehicles.
Yeah.
Because they're not getting taken care of by the drivers. And so do we want to put that much investment into vehicles?
That's a
So
good
just
point.
pay the
point.
mileage
That
and
is-
being done with it.
that's
Maybe we're
very
better off
valid.
just paying the mileage, and calling it good.
That's what we're trying to figure out. That's why we're here.
I would
Keep
say,
it simple.
yeah, I would say keep it simple, pay the mileage from the duty station. And the
Defined, yeah.
define duty station out to, that's your, your
Hang out.
main place. Yeah, your main place of business.
Yeah.
And go from there. And I think that eliminates a lot of the question of it. Is like, if your duty station is the central
Mhm.
office, then
Right.
any traveling that you do, we're going to pay you from
It's pretty clear it's a
the
district building.
district office. Yeah.
Okay. So question is, if we do travel outside the district then? So travel inside the district, you're saying from duty station, full rate.
I don't see why we wouldn't.
Okay. Trying to keep it. So I was just trying to
Yeah.
summarize. Then out of district, same way.
Oh, yeah.
So don't have to worry about checking on the vehicles available.
I
Or
would,
do
and maybe for now,
Just trying to clarify.
until, I don't know, until something miraculous happens, we could make that as it's highly suggested. Not mandatory. Oh, God.
I don't know. It's just.
We're not going down
seems
that
like a
road.
pretty
Okay,
great
let's go.
policy to me.
I was kidding.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I
It's-
was-
they-
but-
they don't have
but,
a
you
lot of
know,
options.
more
That's the
data.
problem.
But we do have options. Everyone across the country has a travel policy.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
time for.
Yeah.
And there's a time to use a company vehicle.
Yeah.
There's a
But we
happy,
don't
happy
have very
balance.
many.
Mhm.
company
Yeah, and I would
vehicles,
think
so that's
until we
the
get to the point where we have a wonderful vehicle pool is maybe
Yeah.
suggest that if,
Get right on that.
yeah, well,
problem. And
you know,
based on what Derek said, maybe that's.
and
the
I,
best
and I
approach.
get that, I get that too, but is suggests that if a reasonable vehicle is available,
Yeah.
maybe, or
Not
some
easy
such
answer.
wording such as that.
It's gonna be, yeah.
I don't,
I don't know.
yeah, I don't know if that will ever happen. I'm just,
Policy's been that we pay full price or full mileage when they go out of district. Is that right?
For a while, when I first started, we were not paying that. We were paying half if there was a vehicle available.
If there is a vehicle
Mhm.
available.
Yeah, so, and like going to Coeur d'Alene when we did that, if we would have taken the van,
Mhm.
I mean, I took a vehicle, but if I took my own and the van was available, you get half versus
Mhm.
taking the school vehicle. And I feel like that we're putting a lot of pressure on our people to decide if there's a vehicle or not.
Uh-huh.
I think it ought to be back on the individual that is
Right,
turning in the mileage. We got to trust people to a certain extent. You know what I mean?
right, I do.
Mhm.
It's like
We're not
search for a
doing it.
vehicle if you want, but I don't think calling Derek and making sure that there's a vehicle or double, because they may miss not getting it on the calendar. It may be not on there and it's available. We missed it. I don't want to punish anybody for that.
and just maybe, again, just a suggestion that, we highly suggest that you check for
Yeah.
availability.
Yeah, if
of
there's something, take
viable
it.
District vehicles.
But if we pay full mileage anywhere, people aren't going to look for it. That was kind of the.
Hundreds
incentive.
might turn into thousands. I mean,
Yeah,
Very
just
likely.
being
Yeah.
straight up.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
So-
very.
Well, and we
likely.
saw very little turn into a lot whenever
Yeah, and we just
fuel
got two
prices
new
went up.
vehicles, so it's like,
Yeah.
what was the purpose of upgrading to two new vehicles if we weren't gonna try to take them?
Right.
So
Right.
by rights, we shouldn't have bought the two that we bought.
Right.
I mean, if
Yeah,
we're
there's,
not gonna
there's.
suggest people taking them. So that's where I'm at a hard time.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
just upgraded our vehicles, sold our old ones because nobody wanted
Yeah.
to take them. Now we
Yeah,
have new vehicles
But you
that
take the
people want to take.
maintenance, they have to have a vehicle.
Oh,
He's
I'm
got to have one
totally.
dedicated to him all
Yeah.
the time. That
But-
was the point of that purchase was he's
Right.
got to have one dedicated to him
Right.
full of his tools
Right.
all the time.
Sure.
And I'm not talking about
Yeah.
maintenance, and I'm talking about after hours or on the
Mhm.
weekends and things like
Sure.
that. Because that's what keeps
Yeah.
coming up, out of town,
Yeah.
training, things like that. And
Yeah.
there's rigs that are sitting here that are newer
Mhm.
that we spend a bunch of money on
Mhm.
that are just sitting there. So, I mean, I take my own personal vehicle too, if that was getting full rate. And
Mhm.
most of us have a commuter car, you make a little money on gas, no matter what it is.
Right.
So the district ends up losing. So that's where I'm having a hard time with
Right.
it.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point.
So. But if I'm the only one having a hard time.
Well,
we
we
should
have-
move
No,
on.
You're not.
I'm
You're not.
having a hard time with the whole
gotta have the
thing. I'm
discussion.
just wrapping my,
Well, you also have the vehicles. So
yeah.
if they got to be used, that's why we have them. I don't know. I'd really like to see us implement a schedule
The schedule of
of vehicles.
vehicle replacement. Mhm.
Just to see. And then
Yeah, because
I don't
it-
have a problem paying the mileage either, but I agree with Jesse that if you're going to get paid to drive your car, I mean, most people will. The good thing about doing that is we're not paying for the wear and tear.
Oh,
There's good.
But you still have cars there that aren't being used.
Mhm.
So
Well, they get used.
Should
They all get
we wait and table this and get some data and just,
What do you want?
I don't know.
So
what-
here's,
what do we
I
want?
would love to see an actual identification of what is the vehicle, what's the mileage, if we have annual maintenance costs on them, Derek. If we know that they have issues, where their home base is in relationship to where, so what duty station do the cars have, do the vehicles have? And then the duty stations of the individuals that do regular travel. And so that we can build a map around that. And then what Brittany, you said it's easy to pull what are we paying for mileage currently? So I think when Derek piped up about the cars and the maintenance and the responsibilities that we have, and that's all really great data to help us make informed decisions that we didn't have going into this.
And maybe too, we could try it out, see how it works. And if it's really cost us a lot more money, we can reevaluate.
Mhm.
I mean, that's another thing you could do.
Yeah. If we, you know,
I mean, right now it's costing us hundreds of dollars, maybe maybe it won't make that much difference.
Well, but it might be costing us more dollars if we've bought vehicles and we have these transportation costs in relationship to state compliance that we are unaware of.
That's okay.
And Russell, I mean, would it be hard to identify a car and its duty station in relationship to calendaring?
We have calendars set up for the
Mhm.
vehicles. Most
Okay,
of them.
so that's not hard. Okay.
So can people look at your calendar online or something?
I think I'm an owner. I think I could share it off to the whole district. I'm not sure if I think you may be an owner of it, the Dodge calendar, so I can
People
share
could
it
look
out.
at the calendar,
It can be,
check it out in a few minutes, find out if there's anything available and not call you.
Yeah, I think it should be automated.
and
that's-
what?
It is.
You
kind
that's
of-
tried
why we
that
have
and
calendars that's
what?
been tried
Did it
before.
work or
Mhm.
worked or?
It's,
Well, you haven't been employed with the district that long to say we've tried calendaring before. I mean, let's get more information so we can inform
Has
decisions.
it-
Did it work?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes or no?
Did it ever work?
That's,
Not really. I mean, kind of. But it-
Well-
It counts out, so like, people get a hold of the person in the building that takes care of the car calendar and they fill it out, but what you find out is you go to get the vehicle and somebody took the vehicle because they didn't follow.
Didn't follow the rules.
There you go.
well.
These are the same people we're trusting to turn. I mean, I'm
mileage. Yeah, I
sorry.
don't know.
It's
Yeah,
it's a simple
humanity.
calendar with vehicles. I mean, it's not difficult. You check it out, you don't.
Yeah.
And if you can't look at that and see if there's someone there and then someone else checks it out and they didn't follow I mean, this is.
You can't
pretty-
have 5, 6 people managing it. That's another problem. And I'm certainly not suggesting that Derek needs to do it,
No,
but it
no,
should be
no.
one person.
Or it's a shared calendar that you have access to. I mean,
Right.
it's just add an event. That's how we
And
do
you
it.
don't
Just
get
a
a
Google
vehicle.
shared calendar that has a vehicle. You add it in and you reserve it and then everybody can see it's reserved and then that truck's not available. Well, then the other one's available. Okay, I don't want to take that one because I don't feel safe. Then it goes back to mileage.
Right.
Or half mileage or whatever you
Yeah,
decide.
and if
but-
somebody's got a vehicle checked out, if they're on the calendar and Mike's got the stalker van checked out, then that means that I can't check it out. You know, I mean, it's
Great
pretty,
description.
sorry.
That's
that-
okay.
That was probably not very appropriate. Sorry.
Especially over the weekend. Thank you. It was not. That's okay. Can we strike that from the record,
I know,
please?
yeah, no, but you get my drift though. If somebody's already got it checked out on the calendars, nobody else should be able to go that day and say, oh yeah, by the way, I'm taking this. No, that's no. Whoever keeps the keys, who keeps the keys, do you keep the keys?
Hmm.
Somebody else. Keep the
No,
keys.
for the ones we have, the
Yeah.
schools keep them for the ones they have. We keep them
Right.
for the ones we have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what do we want to do? Do we want to table this for now? I think the only thing we agreed on was the duty station thing. I
Yeah.
think everything else, we just kind of scratched our head and,
Well,
Yeah, I don't think.
normally I would bring a recommendation, but this has been pretty complicated. As you can see, every rabbit hole you go down, there's
Yeah.
a barrier. So we want to keep it as simple as possible. What I would like to see out of it is our people are fairly compensated for driving within the district, and they're compensated for going outside of the district as well. I think the outside of the district is where that comes in. I think the inside of the district, if you're running a vehicle, they're kind of the same thing. So one's available half if they're
yeah.
not full. It's kind of what we're doing right now.
Then who decides in the end,
Yeah.
So
Well, that's what happens.
Then you're monitoring. this
Yeah.
thing. If we don't just-
It's work to do that, and we shouldn't have to
shouldn't
have to monitor.
babysit.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be that complicated.
Because there's money on the line.
Yeah.
That's why it's like it.
So in the out of district travel, you don't mention mileage at all? Right? You just talk about per diem.
Yeah, and it should be the mileage as well.
So we should add a sentence in
Mhm.
there related to mileage will be paid from the employee's duty station to and fro at whatever the acceptable rate is.
I just do that. Are you looking at it right now?
Yep, I am, yeah.
You see where I highlighted?
Yep.
So if I just copy that, put it down here.
Except take the half out, right? Yes. And then when utilizing their own vehicle to travel outside the district. So get rid of the word half, right?
So you're looking at full for
For out
outside?
of district travel, yeah, I would say. I think
What do
that's,
you?
we
what
have
do you-
consensus. We've been talking about that.
No, I
What
think we're
what do
almost
you
there.
think, Mike? What do you recommend for that?
For the outside of district? I think, like you said, if you're going to pay full, people are going to take their own vehicle.
So you're thinking.
But we don't have a lot to choose from. So,
That's
I-
why we have to look at this from year to
yeah,
year.
I don't, yes, we do. It needs to be a working, because what happens is our fleet comes and goes.
Right.
Obviously we just went from having nothing to having a few.
Yeah.
We don't have very many, but we have some.
But that was
So,
kind of the selling point of upgrading our
Mhm.
vehicles was because we were going to use them for these things. So now
Right.
we're just using them for just maintenance, and that's the part I'm having a hard time. When I first
Yeah, I
started
understand.
this spring, we got rid of a bunch of vehicles so people could get new vehicles so
So
we
we
could
can
drive
use
them. And now we're saying we don't need to drive them, only for the maintenance.
I
things.
think
So-
we need to add something in there if a district,
just to
I-
clarify on that, Jesse, sorry, we haven't replaced any vehicles. We only got rid of old ones. The new ones we bought were in particular, that was separate. Those are
Okay.
off a separate grant. So we haven't invested any of our own district money in vehicles,
Okay.
new vehicles. That's something that I'd like to do.
yeah.
Yes.
So I just wanted to clarify
Okay.
that those were specifically bought for those on a grant for those.
I-
That makes sense?
I think we need to put a sentence in there somewhere that, if an appropriate district vehicle is unavailable.
Yes, agree.
I think that's going to, is general enough that it's going to kill a lot of bugs there with that.
Yeah, I would put it in front of the sentence, Michael, and not after. To give it relevance to the.
And who would make that? Derek, would you make that call?
No, because that's where we have to come up with a systematic calendaring around vehicles.
Somebody's gotta do that.
Yeah, but who decides if it's an appropriate vehicle?
But
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking, I just threw that out there thinking in terms of winter.
No, and
You
I
know.
would think the leaders should be able to make that decision, but I'm just saying the ones that are running every week and getting mileage, that just doesn't make sense to me. If there's a vehicle sitting there and they're running to Timberline every Thursday and there's a
Yeah.
brand new company vehicle sitting there,
They should do it.
and if there's a brand new company vehicle
it's
sitting
available.
there and we're heading to Boise and it's a good, efficient vehicle, but now if it's a van, absolutely, but that should be our leadership that makes
Mhm.
those decisions. I don't know.
Well,
I'm just trying to
yeah,
standardize
think-
what everybody
yeah, and I
else
think
does
that
instead
would
of us
be-
having our own
Absolutely,
little
yeah.
policies. This is just
That's right.
real world. Their state sets policies. We all
Yeah.
follow the state.
That's what we're trying
We
to figure
follow
out.
what they pay mileage. I mean, we stick to what they pay mileage. So when they change, we follow the state. We don't set our own mileage. We
Right.
follow. So
Right.
that's where I'm having a hard time
Yeah.
setting our own policy that just fits us.
I would get rid of the word suitable and just say if a district vehicle is not available, we'll reimburse you for traveling outside.
Yep.
Yeah,
And the same thing within. So if
Agree.
yeah,
district
that'd work.
vehicle is not available, if it's available, then you
need to
grab
take
and
it.
Get nothing.
Yeah, and I don't think it's half or full, like you're saying. It's if there's not a vehicle and you're driving your vehicle, it should be full per diem. I mean, that half's just a thing that we've said. I've never heard of a half before.
It just came up. It was here when I got.
That's what I mean. So that we're making policies just to fit our little area instead of let's stick to state rates. Let's stick to normal travel policy like anywhere else
Yeah.
you would find.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. They do the half.
They state, yeah, they have
Oh,
a pool
geez.
of vehicles though. That's the difference.
That's the
They
difference.
That's a
have a pool of
difference.
Vehicles, if you
Right.
take your own, you only
Yeah.
get half rate.
That's a big difference.
So get rid of the half. The vehicle. Don't send someone in a van by themselves. Pay them the mileage, but our leadership can make that
Yeah,
decision.
that's a,
Right?
And yeah, so you want to add if a
Gotta
district vehicle is not available.
yeah,
Agreed.
I think that's the only viable thing at this point in time. And who knows, down the road, if
Yep.
we get flush with money and we have a pool of vehicles.
Let's do it.
I'm with
Heck yeah.
Derek. I'd rather not have a bunch of vehicles. So,
Well, I know, but I don't think anybody would.
but also
I
we
mean,
don't want
just-
them sitting there and paying mileage and someone's heading to Boise.
Exactly,
Right.
yeah. So I think it's pretty common sense. And I think that we need to trust our staff to be
Sure.
honest and upfront with it and not be
Abusing the system.
abusing it.
Yep.
So can you just double check that I got this right? So both of these
You don't, yeah, so
yeah,
it-
in district is,
in district should start out with if a district
Yeah.
vehicle is not available.
same as what we had down here.
Yep.
Mhm.
Get rid of the word suitable, though.
I think, Chris, we're saying suitable is a key word because an old van versus a new truck or a new car is a lot different from one mileage, from wear and tear and everything like that.
And you have to consider weather.
Yeah,
But we got a set of snow tires on all our vehicles, so probably better than most people have for their own vehicles. I mean, so I don't know.
And then the out of the district, the second to last sentence needs to be out of the district and not within the district.
Yep.
I think by leaving the word suitable, then you're opening up an opportunity to constantly be unsuitable.
Yeah.
And if
Well,
if
Could be
you
the case.
close it, if you close it and say, look, this is a point of argument that I'm going to take to my leadership as a staff person, that vehicle is not suitable, then.
Well, if that's the case, we need to be looking at replacing those vehicles.
Sure.
And
Exactly.
that might be a good point of, yeah.
hey, but you know what? In all seriousness, though, if that's a need that the
Yeah.
district has,
Yeah.
then we need
start
to be
talking
addressing
about
that come,
Need
we
do
need to
that.
start looking at that
Mhm.
and start
Yeah.
thinking about addressing that
It's-
come budget time.
It's a need. It's something that's been kind of put on the backside of everything because it's an expense, big
Right.
expense. You know, we're having a lot of discussion about, it, but it is a big expense.
Well, and
So-
there's ways to get discounts on, I mean, you can hook in with the county. I know that when the
Well,
county buys
Yeah, we can get fleet vehicles.
fleet vehicles
Yep.
and things like that, and there's nothing wrong with them.
Nope. It's just finding
They're pretty
them.
nice.
Just finding
We can
them.
order them.
I know, but they,
We got to do that in advance, but it takes a while, but,
right now, everything's pretty tough.
but I mean, there's ways to do that, to
Mhm.
take that expense down pretty good too. So I don't know. We need to look at that, but I think that's something that we look come budget time. But I think in the meantime, is everybody kind of good with this?
Yeah.
Kind of sort of good?
Mm-hmm.
Good as we can be?
One last question, Derek. How many good vehicles do we have that we can use for this?
I was just trying to look up.
Just kind of a, you know,
Yeah, so
I'm not gonna hold you to it or anything, just 5, 6, 3, 2.
Timberline has a good driver's ed car. Orofino has a good driver's ed car. We've got a decent minivan. We've got a good maintenance pickup, but that's pretty dedicated and set up. That's off the
Sure.
table. Our shop truck is a good truck. It's off the table. It's not going anywhere.
Those aren't, yeah.
The Compass.
And the Compass. So we've got 4,
Yeah.
basically 4
Mhm.
dependable enough vehicles to do
Okay.
something with in this district.
Right.
We have, go by the elementary and look at the yellow bomb sitting out back. You can't drive to the dump. So yeah, we've got some absolute junk in our fleet that we're
That's,
trying
that's,
to. move out,
that's
but
a district vehicle? I didn't realize
that
that.
cream colored.
Yeah.
Wonderful pickup that
Thinking about
I don't
that.
even know.
No, I thought it was
Been
like an
around.
employee, like a maintenance guy or
And we've
something.
got rid of, how many have we gotten rid of, Derek, in the last?
We
year and a half.
got rid of
6 or 8.
Van, Jeep, blue pickup, 2 blue pickups, 4, 5 a Breeze. Yeah, so I think about 5.
That Ford. Green Ford,
We got rid of it.
6.
Okay, didn't know about that
Yeah.
one. Yep, I thought we still had it.
But I
Yeah,
think
it
that's
was
the bigger
surplus.
thing is we need to be talking about this
Mhm.
yearly and
Yeah.
not waiting 10 to 15
Yeah,
years.
no,
Yeah.
and letting
it's
it
something
be-
that should have been addressed probably a while back, a long while back, and
Previous.
it hasn't. And so now we're at this
Mhm.
Exactly,
point.
exactly.
Right.
And in a perfect world, what would we have? At least one at each school?
Yeah,
Couple,
and seeing that's what happened
probably.
with this maintenance pickup.
Yeah,
We hire a
district
maintenance guy and we
office.
sit and look at it, say, we do not have a vehicle he can drive
Right.
in this
Yeah,
district.
and
We
you
Yeah,
have
don't.
there you go.
And you need to.
We have
That's a-
some that we can barely get from school to the dump, but we do not have anything dependable enough. And that's where we had to start making some decisions to
Mhm.
buy,
Right.
Yeah,
because we just didn't have anything.
yeah, we need at least one good vehicle at every school plus central, the district office and a spare, I would say.
Yeah.
In a perfect world,
We can take a bus.
Take a bus.
Take a bus.
Thank you, Derek.
Small bus.
Okay,
Thanks, Derek.
are we ready to move on from that or? We're
Yeah.
good?
I
Okay,
think I've got what you guys had in there.
okay, all right. Let's move on to the additional compensation for the House Bill 793. That's pretty straightforward. Yeah.
Yeah.
that's-
So what really happened with that is, and Farrah can allude to this a little bit on, there's 2 extra FTEs from the report. Is it 2 or 3? There are 3 additional FTEs from the count that we had last year. And that resulted from 2 additional hires, and we had a switch from one of our directors was actually considered certified teacher. So is that what we did? No. Oh, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Correct. Sorry. Thank you. Sorry about that. Got lost on that one. So basically we took the total dollars that was allotted for those FTEs. Ouch. And then we divided it by the total FTEs we have now. So it resulted in a little bit less. It's 1531 per FTE. But it was allotted by law by what the FTEs we had last year. Does that make
What's
sense?
the one that's the 0.49 and all the rest are 1?
Halftime.
They're just a halftime
Yeah,
employee.
they're
Okay.
retired, so they're back halftime.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Thank you.
Didn't- Yep.
Okay.
And that was that was part of our payment as well.
That was my only question. So
Yep.
that's simple.
So I go ahead.
Oh, no.
I was going to say, I sent this out as far as the proposal that you guys have seen. I had sent that to our certified staff as well. Didn't receive any comments back of, right, wrong, or indifferent. Administration, the leadership all decided this was the way to go as well. So comfortable with that. If you have a question, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. Ryan, did you? Okay.
No, I'm good with it.
Okay.
Pretty straightforward. Anybody else have anything on that? Okay. Substitute teacher pay.
Yeah, so this was kind of overlooked, I guess, from where we did our $15 an hour on this one. So this is what, and that echo. Can we mute her? I'm going to mute her. Sorry, Chris, I'm muting you so I don't get an echo here. So anyway, this is bringing that up to that rate, and you can see the proposed rate. I guess I can share my screen so everybody can see that. Sorry. There we go. Current rates and proposed rates. Everybody should be able to see that.
We still having a hard time finding subs? Or is it? Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we
It's
have
picked up
to.
some.
I mean,
Well, I'm just in the spirit of what we had done in
Mhm.
July. I
Yeah.
think that was our intent.
Yeah.
And then we talked a month ago or
Mhm.
whatever it was. We then brought it up again. Was it September?
We did,
And so I thought when we walked away in September that we had it solidified, but
but
we
we
didn't.
just the way we look back at the minutes and we
We
just,
just missed it.
yeah.
So my question is, are we going to retro that back to those
Yeah.
subs?
The answer is going to be no. I don't think we can get that done.
Too hard to do, huh?
but I think we should get it moving forward.
Yeah.
For real this time.
Yeah, it's
You're welcome,
unfortunate.
Sarah. Oh, did you?
Sarah would
That
come
would,
over that table.
it would be, yeah.
But
Yeah.
starting as soon as we can put in effect.
Yes. But moving forward, we
As
can
soon
change
as
it from
Farrah
here.
can do it.
Yeah, whatever
Yes.
that day is.
Yes, we can
Okay.
do that.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer. I think that's gonna help recruit too. So, okay, anything else on that one?
No.
The SPED certified FTEs, did everybody have a chance to look at that?
Yes.
Yeah, so the discussion on that is with our SPED numbers continue to increase. We've seen that caseload increase throughout our district. So we've talked with the IDYCA. They're taking it to their board to see if they can foot that bill. And they've said that they're likely they can. So that wouldn't cost us, the district, anything. They would cover those expenses. So that wouldn't be kind of a moot point. But within the rest of our district, we see that kind of that bubble coming through in the elementary world. And what we're looking at doing is adding an FTE that would kind of move as the needs needed to be. So if that moved up to the high school, wherever it might be, that's what we'd look at. So looking at, we had some carryover on our IDEA money that we decided we would move in. So we'd have money to pay for this. Then we ended up with our learning loss money, how we hired our new RTI people. We've moved them over to our title because we had some carryover in title as well. So we've kind of maneuvered some money around that it's really not going to affect us a whole lot financially to do this. It's going to be, I mean, obviously it's another
Makes
expense,
sense.
but it's available is what I'm saying. So anyway, and we're seeing those trends. Not only are the increase in IEPs, the behaviors are more extreme is what we're seeing with that. The needs are much more extreme in a lot of cases. So we're seeing a lot more. That's tough to carry a 30 student caseload for a teacher. Lots of paperwork, lots of doing. And yeah, so we're seeing a lot of burnout from them as well. And we need to make sure we're helping them out because it's a real need.
Makes sense.
We had some numbers that we pulled together. I think I have those here. So we're looking at it just for numbers sakes, if you guys want to go through that. So back in the year 17-18 through 22-23, so through current year, in 17-18, we had 143.
Thought he said
district-wide.
17,
I
18.
know.
Yeah,
That was a long time ago.
yeah, it was.
Good, Dad.
And
So wait,
22,
Say again. Mike.
yeah,
Say that
so-
again.
so in 22, so in 17-18,
Yeah, right.
17-18 school year,
Okay, got it.
not
Not going back to the revolution.
Yes, yes. We had 143 special ed IEP students. And currently in this year, we have 192.
Oh, man.
Last year we had 172.
Yeah.
We're seeing increases. A big piece of our increase is IDYCA. We're seeing an increase there, obviously, but we're also seeing it in our elementary school at OES is where we're seeing the biggest piece of that right now. We have case managers that have 30 students. We have one that has 36 students. So that's a lot of kids.
Yep.
So yeah, we're asking to advertise is what we're looking at when we get to the action item. So we can advertise, post that and make that happen if we can. You know, finding a teacher is another story, certified teacher.
So we're increasing the FTEs by 2, is that right?
Yes,
Okay.
that's what we would be
And
doing.
one's going to be IDYC.
Yes. Yep. And that would
Funded.
be covered. So really it'd be one for our expense.
Gotcha.
And like I said, with our federal grants programs, the way that we kind of underutilized it in the last few years. So we've revamped that. And Mr. Weddle's been very, very good about helping with that and making sure we're doing all that. He's had a lot of experience. So we're kind of finding a little bit areas and we're looking at maybe a 2-year cover on that and then reassess. We'll see where our numbers go. But after 2 years, we have enough financing to carry somebody 2 years and then reevaluate and see what we need to do. But at that point in time, we would just probably have to budget in if we still have the need. And who knows with federal programs and
next 2
numbers.
years.
Yeah. Yeah. The more special ed students we have, the more money we receive through IDEA as well.
Okay, any more questions on that? Any more discussion?
You still got Chris muted. She's awful quiet.
Oh, sorry, Chris.
Yeah. Well,
You
I was
can
just
use it.
thinking about the,
It was working.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, she did.
I knew you wanted to speak, Chris.
I was just thinking that if the increase is really in the elementary level and Denise's report indicated that they were utilizing the behavioral intervention support, positive behavioral intervention support program like what Brian's doing, that'll be a really interesting data element for us to keep an eye on. It would be fun to see more integration in the Mr. Weddle's report with that kind of information as we add these positions and start to think more and more about this being an impact on our system. Thank you for my voice.
You bet.
All right. Okay, let's move on. ISBA convention. It's good.
Yeah.
You talked out now, are you? You guys have surely got something to report.
Did you talk about mileage there?
We've already put that to bed. Come on now, Greg. Come on, we're moving on.
There was no
Oh,
mileage discussion.
As usual, this is my third.
I don't know. It seems like
third
more than
quar-
that. I
It
gotta
seems
be
like
honest.
a bunch. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Good information. There was one thing I did notice about that was kind of there's a lot of people trying to sell you all kinds of stuff. It's just it's getting more and more all the time. It is what it is. But there's some good information passed on, some good resolution. The resolutions passed that they put forth, and we usually listen to ISBA pretty closely. We got to have some time with Debbie Kirchfield, our new incoming superintendent of public instruction, which was interesting, good information and good. And Dr. Garrett is on her transition team. Congratulations
Yeah.
to him.
Yeah. Thanks. I think we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
No, actually, I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
You know, the reason I was trying to pursue that is I feel like we get overlooked a lot in our size district with, we basically have 3 high schools and there's not a lot, and then 2 outlying schools. There's not a lot of districts in the state that have that kind of diversity and stretched out like we are. So we don't really fit the mold of a single K-12 building. And we don't fit the mold of a big district. So I wanted to have that voice. And, Debbie's always been good about listening throughout all this. Got to know her during the pandemic when we had some of those meetings with the state board when she was on that. So that's kind of carried over. And I think just having the voice for us and then also for education in general, public education. So I'm excited. I don't know how much we have our first meeting December 1st. So we'll have a meeting that night. I'll let you guys know what's
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah, I think we're going to see good things from her, and she really, really deeply feels the problems of the rural school districts and the diverse school districts.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan.
The,
So
the 3 things that came up all over and over was the sped population increase in every school, the finances for classified staff, and then insurance.
Yeah.
Everywhere I went, they talked about those 3 things. And, there's going to be a big push to push us over to the state insurance plan, which is fine if they fund it. And then, of course, I think that we'll see some increases in the classified, how they fund us currently.
Good.
So I'm hoping those are a couple of really big things.
Yeah,
And then the
there's-
sped populate, people are kind of throwing their heads up with, the hands up in there with the behaviors that we're having. Every district's feeling it. So it's not just here.
Yeah, it's a trend.
It's
a
everywhere.
trend. We're
Yeah.
seeing it not only in the schools, but we're seeing it in the juvenile justice system and
Yeah.
it's everywhere.
Yeah.
So, post-pandemic stuff, who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So Brian was there.
Yeah, one of the best classes or sessions I got to go to talked about the COVID years and having to withstand those 2 years as school, districts, as teachers, as students, parents, and just how crazy things got. But now that we're on the backside of that, and hopefully moving forward, the biggest thing is what are districts doing to try to move forward and grow. And I got to tell you, I felt like compared to the people that I was in these sessions with, I thought this group had a pretty doggone good plan. And I was really, really happy to hear that and share some of the stories that are coming out of our district with them. A lot of people taking notes. So I dropped everybody's names. Call them. They'll tell you what they're doing.
But you can't leave if they call you.
Right.
Why you dropping names,
Yeah.
Brian?
That
Come
was
on.
that was a big one for me. The other thing that I really felt was pretty alarming is just how difficult all the districts are having finding teachers. They're just like they're not there. Nobody wants to come to Idaho and work as a school teacher. So we're all going through that.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because there's schools in Idaho that are really having to make some serious decisions on staying open, moving kids to a completely different school and saying, well, we'll consolidate. It's scary.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, there's a lot of that kind of stuff.
but a lot of information, too long of a day for me, getting old. But we had a good time. I really enjoyed it. It's fun.
Yeah. Another thing that really struck me was went to one session and honestly, it was some people trying to sell us a data system, but is what it turned out to be ultimately, which, okay, but they were, it was, I was like, what the?
Here,
But-
buy my book.
Yeah, it's like, no, not gonna happen. But one thing they did bring up that I thought was really interesting was they talked about resources, hooking people into resources and stuff, which in my other life, I do that every day. That's what I do. And I think Cody can relate to this. We don't have the resources. And they're talking about all these programs and all these this and that and da, da, da. And I was going, well,
Yeah.
we don't have that. But amazingly, I think we do really, really well overall as a school, as a district, as a community, considering the lack of resources that we do have, because we make the most out of what we have. And trust me when I say this, in comparison to the Treasure Valley or a lot of other places, Lewiston even, we are sorely lacking in resources. And it's an ongoing problem and it's not getting any better. So we have to get creative. We have to use what we have. We have to look to other sources for some of these things. And it's challenging. So they start talking about all these programs in this agency and that agency. And I'm going, what the?
Yeah.
Really? Must be nice. But but we do. I think we do a really good job considering. So kudos to everybody on that. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I appreciate you guys going. And if you guys, the rest of you get a chance to go to these, I very much encourage you to do it. There's some good things there and it's a really good chance to get to grow a little bit and meet other people who are going through the same thing. So
You get some really cool free stuff.
yeah, and if you want to fill your bag with free stuff, you can. I
I
want
do
you're going to
every
do it
year.
later,
She
but
loves
I
it.
know.
so, yeah.
Greg's been there with me. It's like, okay, yeah.
I didn't win anything on the lottery though.
Yeah.
Dang it.
All right. So can I get a motion for executive session?
Yeah, I'll make a motion, excuse me, a motion for Idaho Code 74-206.1 A and B, that we adjourn for executive session.
I'll second.
Madam Clerk, can I get a roll call?
Trustee Craig,
Yes.
trustee Daniels,
Yes.
trustee Giroux,
Yes.
trustee Herbst.
Yes,
Trustee Saint Germain.
Yes.
motion carries. All right.
Sure, you're muted, Chris.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. Do you have your cell? Chris?
Yeah, you're gonna call me,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
Work.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you,
Gotta
Carmen, for
straighten
keeping us
out.
on track. That's why you're our clerk. You need a raise.
And thank
No,
you
you don't.
Denise for handling what we talked
You
about.
do need a raise.
Yeah, okay. All right, so let's move on to our action items. First on the action item is the Peck Elementary School closure on
Hold
10.
on.
What?
Hold on.
Oh, geez.
Not quite.
Hold on.
Yes. There's another one if you need it.
Can you pass the water?
You good now?
Are we ready?
He's out. No, for you.
What?
Okay,
got one.
Oh.
all right, we're back from our
I
executive
didn't really
session.
need one.
Back onto our action items. The first one is the Peck Elementary Emergency Closure 10-6 for no water and Timberline on 11-7 for no power
In the PM.
in the PM. Yes. All right. So can I get a motion?
I'll move that.
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve the Peck Elementary emergency closure on 10/6/22 for no water in the Timberline PM electricity or power issue on 11/7/22.
I'll
I'll
second.
second.
Any discussion?
Can you hear me?
Chris,
Can you hear me?
hang on a second. Your mic's on.
Okay.
Knew there was something.
She heard me though. Thank you.
I can hear you.
Okay, we got you now.
Thank you.
So the first,
Okay.
second, and yeah.
Okay, okay. I want to make sure she didn't have
Yeah.
any discussion. No discussion on that, Chris?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So all in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. All right, next item is the 2023 regular meeting calendar. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the 2023 regular meeting calendar. For the
Oh.
draft.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Just that we are gonna add to that, not just the work session topics, but the other topics throughout the year in
Mhm.
June and
Yeah.
October. So we're on track with what we're doing.
Yep. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Chris,
Aye, aye, aye.
Oh, okay. Didn't hear you. I'm sorry. Motion carries. Okay. Next on the policy reviews, the 7440 credit card policy and the 7430 travel draft.
which we worked through it's now what we wrote up in the discussion.
Okay.
Just to clarify.
Just to clarify. Okay. So can I get a motion?
Well, I move that we accept the policy reviews that we came up with regarding the credit cards, 7440, and also the travel, 7430, as we discussed.
I'll second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Motion carries. All right. The additional compensation per HB 793, can I get a motion? The motion? I could talk.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we accept the HB 793 additional compensation as presented.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries.
Yeah, you did. You made the motion.
Made the motion.
You made
yeah.
the motion yourself, so. Okay, next is our substitute teacher pay. Can I get a motion? Teacher pay.
Teacher pay.
I'll make a motion that the substitute teacher pay gets increased to the minimum $15 an hour
How about we do what
Effective.
was proposed?
immediately as proposed.
I'll second.
Any more discussion?
Still like to see that retro.
Can you make would you guys mind clarifying that the
Proposal.
Oh, the-
Yeah.
It's as we
so we have
proposed.
the certified, non-certified as proposed on this?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
we
Do you
wanna
mind
do
just
this one.
clarifying that? Don't want to have any gray areas. Sorry.
No.
Would you like to amend your motion or?
Yes, let's amend the motion. Do that to make the motion. Somebody else to do that?
You,
Okay,
Say again about certified, non-certified.
Yeah.
so the certified, so the proposed rates we have for a daily and a long-term rate and for certified or non-certified. I can put it up here on the screen. So you can see it
Okay.
better.
I got it up there.
That's good.
So you have a better, this, so we're looking at.
Oh, yeah.
okay, somebody hit me with the amended motion there.
Or if you just want to let, if you want to just revise your motion, you would be the best, I think.
I can revise the motion.
Just to clarify.
To clarify the
Yeah.
proposed rates for the certified and non-certified,
Daily and long-term.
daily and long-term.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
No.
I'll second that one.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 I'm abstaining. Okay, the special education certified FTEs. Can I get a motion?
I move that we accept the 2 special education certified FTEs.
I'll second that.
Any more discussion?
We'll add that one would be paid by Idaho Youth Challenge,
Yes.
not the district.
Good point.
Can you amend that motion?
Yeah. I move that we accept the special education certified FTEs, one being paid by IDYCA and the other by the district.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Okay, new hires and separations. Can I get a motion?
I'll move we accept the new hires and separations as recommended.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Once again, good job on more new hires and separations. 2 months in a row.
Always a good thing.
True.
Mhm.
And actually, it looks like conversion of a part-time to a more regular.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Quite a few subs, some ex Orofino maniacs must have moved back home. Coached a couple of these girls.
Mhm. All righty, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. All right. Board input for a future meeting. Our next meeting is December 19th at Timberline.
No, there's a special, that's a regular.
Oh, I'm
meeting, yeah.
sorry, I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
read
That's,
right over
you're
that.
right on
We
that.
do have a special meeting next
regular.
Thursday night at IDYCA for at 5 o'clock.
Mhm.
5 o'clock for presentations.
For early graduation.
early
It's
graduation.
25 students.
Yeah.
So
I will not
I
be
was,
My
okay.
daughter's birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Probably shouldn't miss that.
Yep. Priorities.
probably-
12 is a big year, you know.
They're all big years.
Yeah.
12 already? Wow.
For daughters, every year is a big year, but
So I went through with the IDYCA. I sat through with these kids, just to kind of a side note. They all did a senior project. As I was invited to listen to them. So they're going to do a shortened version of that. And they talked about their future and what they were going to do right after IDYCA. And it was pretty cool. So they'll keep it pretty short, but it's going to take a little bit just because there's 25 of them. So
Yeah.
good stuff.
be fun.
It will be.
Okay.
And that'll be the only action item on there.
Yeah.
It's just that.
Okay. And our next regular meeting is December 19th at Timberline.
Yep.
So,
This is something that Carmen picked up as
Oh.
well.
oh, okay. So anybody have any input or anything for
Nope.
next time? Are we just going to do just a regular meeting and no work session for December's meeting?
I think that's what we
Yeah.
planned, and
Sounds
then
good.
we'll start
Planned
work
because of Christmas
sessions
Back in
in
January.
January.
Yep. Perfect. Okay. All right.
Could we have a discussion item about work session topics though? So that we
Yes.
can
Yeah.
handle on what are all, what sort of the different nuances and where we are. We did a budget one and
Yeah.
that was it.
Yeah, I think, Chris, we'd like to have that discussion and plan out the entire year.
Yeah.
At December's meeting.
Sounds good.
Yep. Okay. All right. Can I get a motion for adjournment?
I'm going to move that we adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yay.
Aye.
All right.
Hell yes. Okay. All right. Meeting is adjourned.
Have a good Thanksgiving all.